Broadcasting to you live somewhere in the universe prior to Operation or Project Bluebeam. We'll call it Project Bluebeam. Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, kind of on edge, waiting for Project Bluebeam to be unleashed because they think we're that dumb. My name is Brian Engelman.
And I'm Blake Walley.
And today is Tuesday, March the 14th, Pi Day.
Yeah.
2023. All right, everybody. Blake, good work on the Pi Day graphics. I'm a fan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good times. It's a special day once a year, you know?
I did, or I do know. What I did do was I shared something. Did you happen to see that on Facebook? What was it? It came up in my memories from 3 years ago. Let me see if I can find it right here. Here we go.
Oh, it's one of those little flashbacks.
Oh, you know what? It came in as a story.
Uh-oh.
It's here. I can't play music because
Yep, you're gonna get the copyright flag.
It's so stupid. Can you see it? Pi Day is just a fake holiday created by math companies to sell more math.
Yep, it's big math conspiracy.
Exactly. Well, welcome to Pi Day, everybody. Some of the topics we're going to get into, we're going to talk about 1,000 military-aged males swarming and invading El Paso, boneless buffalo wings, and a class action lawsuit for false advertising. Wondering if people are getting dumber. What are we supposed to do about that? Doctors who transition, air quote, kids. Is it time to start holding these people criminally liable? Also, is it time to sell Bitcoin after Jim Cramer puts his warning on CNBC? Ooh. What else? The Federal Reserve financial system is totally safe after multiple bank fails. J6 set up as an emergency to culminate the coup. True or false? Do you agree or disagree? Justice for All is a banger, the #1 song in the country. Did you hear it yet? President Trump, do you think he might sort of have some reservations, some second thoughts about helping Ron DeSantis? Ronnie D, what's in your fridge? I don't know. OJ, purple stuff. Ooh, Ronnie D. Do you think he's got buyer's remorse for helping him? And then, of course, maybe let's just start here. This is something that's kind of breaking, Blake. I don't know if this has caught your eye, but this is a Russian jet has collided with a U.S. Reaper drone over the Black Sea. So kind of wondering if this is going to be the Gulf of Tonkin incident needed to spark the deep state's much-desired World War III. Blake, do you agree or disagree that this incident could just be the tipping point to get us into that much-desired World War III?
I'm going to disagree, and I'm also going to say that the Gulf of Tonkin was 100% staged. It was later declassified, used as an excuse to get us into Vietnam, but it never happened. Now, I don't know. This is a new story to me, so I don't know, but I'm assuming a drone is as unarmed. It might have actually happened. I do believe that. But will it be used to justify to get us into a war with Russia? I don't know. I'm going to say no. It's not big enough. But if it was an armed crew or an armed flight, yeah, or a real pilot or something, that could change everything. But fortunately, it doesn't look like that's the case. But I will keep an eye on it. What do you think, Brian?
You know, you're absolutely right. Normally, one of the criteria that is going to need to be crossed or on the checklist of items needed to get us into something like this. Of course, nothing. What do they say in the media? If it bleeds, it leads. You know, it's very similar. If you're trying to get us into an undeclared world war, it helps if there are deaths. which is awful. We all know that. They don't care because they're psychopaths. But yeah, I'll
Collateral
definitely.
damage.
What's that?
So it's collateral damage.
Oh yeah, I mean, what's it to them? They don't care. What they care about is they got a plan, and they got money on the line. They don't care what it takes. They will let it all rip in order to achieve their goals. The means will justify the ends. So, yeah, I don't know. This is just kind of developing here. Put it out on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. We're at American_media_. But yeah, I mean, it's breaking. It's an air incident between Russia and the U.S. Make of it what you will. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say about it other than we're letting you know it's happening. Let's see how far they push it to try to ramp up that agenda. So I guess if that's all we have on that breaking news, let's go ahead and bounce to our first story. There's so much to cover today. I feel like we haven't done a show in a fortnight, Blake, right?
It's been a while since Thursday. Yeah, it was a very busy weekend, and it's been crazy. A lot of interesting financial news. We'll get to that, but yeah, it's hard to say what is the headline. Obviously, that would have been the headline over the weekend, but we shall see. Yeah, Federal Reserve financial system.
It's totally safe.
Silicon Valley. Yeah.
The Federal Reserve financial system is totally safe after multiple bank fails. Blake, do you agree with that or disagree with that?
I'm going to say disagree emphatically. Looks like there are some major problems. They've been, Federal Reserve's obviously been under pressure, decided to start raising the rates slowly. I think they got it up to 4% or 4.25%, something like that. Slowly ratcheting things up to curb inflation. But I guess they finally broke something. And we had some bank runs here with Silicon Valley Bank. We also had Silvergate Bank from crypto, and what was the other one? I want to say Strategic. What is it? I've heard Signify or Signature. So I think that one's also gone. So we have had two of the biggest bank failures in American history over the weekend. So they're not calling it a bailout. It's not quite really a bailout. I'm not a real big financial guy, but I do see the problems with the Federal Reserve and the way that our financial policy has been. And it's been a bit loose and reckless. And now it looks like that we're going to be paying the price. And there's nothing the Fed can do right now. It doesn't look like they can safely continue to keep ratcheting up the interest rates after this caused a big crack in the system. And they can't really turn it around. And they can't really stay still. So I don't know if there's a solution in sight. It just appears that they are totally screwed, along with the rest of us. So they're trying to make sure everything stays calm. They don't want people to panic. They were freaking out on Sunday. So it was interesting because we were waiting for Monday morning to open up and everything. Thought there was going to be a crazy bank run or meltdown, and then it was all hands on deck with the Fed and Joe Biden. Everybody just to calm down. Everything's great. Everything's safe. No worries. And this again with what you're mentioning, Russia. I mean, Russia's been booming. So we tried to put the sanctions on them. It didn't. It really backfired spectacularly. And we don't need another war, but sometimes that's what they like to do is go to war when the economy is gone to shit. And that's what's happening, except we're going to have a lot of problems trying to get involved in there. We're already reached our point with Ukraine putting so much money in there and resources, fighting a proxy war. That's not going so well. Russia is in control. Probably best for us to walk away before things get any worse. But no, the economy has never looked worse to me. Not a financial guy. I did live through 2008, and this is only just the beginning. Really, we've seen all the layoffs, the interest rates go up, prices exploding, and then we still have the real estate looks like that's going to crash. There's all kinds of problems coming down. And I don't know how we get out of it. Like I said, there's no easy solution unless we talk about, ending the Fed or something, which would be pretty historic stuff. But well, wait, what do you think, Brian?
Well, I mean, let's look at what the Obama policy has done. Look at now. You talk about Russia booming. Russia, they're now aligning with China. Like we've taken these two geopolitical forces and forced them into a corner where they're now tag teaming. We got two global bullies. And by the way, I said Obama intentionally. I know Karine Jean Pierre, whatever her name is, all 10 of her names.
Yeah.
She says Obama, and then oops, I meant Biden. Sure you didn't, sweetheart. Sure you did. No, I say Obama because I mean it. That's the result of his policy, is his puppet masters, and this is now aligned China and Russia. This is not good. Nothing happening now is good. And sometimes I feel like, you hear this thing with the last administration. Oh, trust the plan. We caught them all. You hear that stuff. You hear these rumblings. You hear this bravado. You hear, we'll get them. It's like, how far do you have to? It's the biggest sting operation. Okay, that's great. That's great. I mean, that would be neat if it's true. But like, how much damage has to happen before you pull the curtain back and go, ha ha, and then you go, oh darn it, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Each passing day, with each new crisis that potentially threatens to imperil life as we know it. I mean, we're talking EMP. 3 Chinese spy balloons strategically placed over the United States with an electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear detonation wipes out the entire U.S. power grid, and then it's time to get invaded. Like World War III is on. If the power goes off, hey, all hands on deck. Do what you got to do because it's happening. I warn everybody. So you obviously start losing faith in a system that's like, no, we got them. But then on the other side, it's like, all of the liars are on the globalist side, the Democrat side, little tech. I'm going to try to give people nicknames like Trump does. Little Marco. It wasn't Little Marco or something.
Yep, Little Marco Rubio. Yep.
I'm not calling him big tech. I'm calling him little tech. I'm not calling him mainstream media. They're not mainstream. They're so friggin' fringe. I'm calling them lying legacy media. Like, we have to take our words back. We really have to be careful the things that we're saying. So, what do I think about this? I think I've been through this. We all went through 2008. And when it starts, man, who knows where these dominoes are going to fall? I want to show you something here. This is probably obvious to anybody who's paying attention, but this is a tweet from Mike Benz here. It says, Representative Massey, Thomas Massey is one of the only people worth a damn in Congress, says DHS efforts are already underway to add censorship of financial misinformation to CISA's portfolio of critical infrastructure domains that it can classify tweets as a cyber attack on and thus censor. So here's the link below. We put this on Twitter at American_media_. Let's see what the rest of this thread says from Thomas Massey. If it feels like loading. Just got off a Zoom meeting with the Fed, the Treasury, the FDIC, the House, and the Senate. A Democrat senator essentially asked whether there was a program in place to censor information on social media that could lead to a run on the banks. His name? Who is this? He didn't put his name. Where's his name? Anyway, you get the point, Blake. Yeah. These people are addicted to what is it, like silencing information, silencing conversation? There's nothing more antithetical to what the United States is and what we stand for than shutting people up because you don't like what they're saying. Let them talk. Oh, well, they did this with coronavirus. Everything that you talked about was slapped down. You were shut up. You were deleted. You were demonetized. I'm over it. We're done with it. We don't do that shit here in America. We just don't. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know. Did you happen to see that tweet? Were you aware of that? Any
I didn't know. I'm kind of torn on that one because it could cause panic if somebody's spreading misinformation. I don't know. So where do you draw the line there? How do you do that? Because bank runs are no joke. You start those panics. That's kind of what led to the beginning of the Federal Reserve. That was engineered by the Rothschild. But back in 1907, you started telling people, people, your money's not safe. They don't have enough money on reserve, and people start to run over there, even without all the electricity. So back in 1907, but that could happen now. And some people were blaming Elizabeth Warren for causing people to freak out. I don't know if that's 100% or not, but I do know if people aren't careful and people get that rumor and get wind of that it will cause those runs. And we saw, I don't know if you saw some of the videos on Twitter. I think it was First Republic Bank or something. Another one, they had a bank run over there in Brentwood in LA there. It's scary when people are lined up across, all down the block trying to pull their money out at the same time. So no good.
What's that scene? Let me, I don't know. Can I play it?
Trading Places or something? No, everybody's trying to sell at the last second. Yeah. But yeah.
What scene are you referencing?
I was saying Trading Places, but that's what the stock market and people just like panic buying or panic selling. But there's a problem with that, and we also wanted to kind of mention the BRICS, which is a major problem because you were talking about Russia aligning up with China, and they're part of that whole thing with Brazil and India and South Africa. And that's going to be a threat to the Federal Reserve, the world currency, the dollar, losing its grip as they rampant inflation while Russia's cranking out the resources.
And that is exactly what Barack Hussein Obama wants. He wants to bring America. The uppity America needs to be brought down a few pegs. That's been the gist of the Obama ethos. That is what he's been trained at his Little Red School back in, decades ago. Huh?
Is it Indonesia? Lola, what is his name? I forget.
Oh,
Barry Soetoro.
Barry Soetoro, yeah. God, I was watching a Larry Sinclair interview with Dinesh D'Souza today. Oh my God. Anyway, no, I mean, just this. You've seen it with Obama's arc from 2008 forward. Like, the game plan is to destroy this place. He's here to wreck it. I'm here to just ruin the things inside of here. That's his deal. He's kind of good at it. And when he's got his hand up the backside of this meat corpse Joe Biden, this Biden.
Well, yeah. I'd say it goes longer than Obama. He's been a great executor for doing that, the chief executive. But it's probably all came about in the 50s and 60s or whatever, the slow takeover, and it's kind of that Cloward Piven strategy of just kind of breaking the system, and then they'll rebuild it as they see it. But I don't see him necessarily as a mastermind, but as a very smart, very charismatic character that's been slowly destroyed America over the last. But I mean, obviously Bush and Cheney didn't do themselves any favors. They kind of set things in motion in a different way, which is like hardcore overt tyranny. And then Obama came in with his sort of deceptive, covert ways of destroying America. So, and here we are. We had some relief with Trump trying to make America great again. The economy was booming. Everything was good. And the globalists and the deep state didn't like that. So they wanted to go back to the America Last policy. And here we are. Now we've got some major bank failures. And we've had it looks like some potential cataclysms coming in the financial world. I don't know how it plays out, but they can only print so much money and do so many bailouts and give so much money to Ukraine or propose so much in the budget proposal before things collapse or the BRICS takes over. And then we no longer the world reserve currency. Then there goes our military might, our dominance, and America will be failed, and we'll have to rebuild.
Let me play you this little clip. It's kind of what I was thinking about the run on the banks here. This is The Simpsons with a takeoff on It's a Wonderful Life, where Bart starts a bank run.
What do you mean the bank is out of money? Insolvent? You only have enough cash for the next 3 customers! Hey,
So this is exactly what you were talking about. I'm pausing.
Well played, sir.
Because I'm fair use right here.
Just a second here. No, I don't have your money here. It's Bill's house and Fred's house.
Hey, what the hell you doing with my money in your house, Fred?
What are you doing? What the hell are you doing with my money in your house? I mean, look, if people are taking their financial advice from Debbie Wasserman Schultz or who did not? God, she's come out of. I forgot she even existed. Where she
tell me your sources for journalism.
Go away, you weird perm face.
Yep.
I totally forgot she was even a thing anymore. You didn't say her. You were talking about
Senator Warren,
right? Yeah. Look, if anybody's taking their financial advice from Twitter, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the dirty, huddled masses.
That's what's going to happen. I follow crypto Twitter. I keep an eye on that for over a year, and it's the same thing there. People are always trying to, pump their bags or what have you, push certain things, and a lot of it's just coming from the VCs.
Dogecoin to the moon.
Yeah.
I'm holding GameStop. I mean, look.
Well, they blame Elon for that, for pumping his own bags, whether he means to or not. But that's where it gets dangerous when people are, just throwing stuff out there on Twitter, and it can cause a panic, or it could cause things to spike or break or what have you.
So, why is it dangerous? People say what they say. So what? If people want to act on it, so what? I mean, I just. That's what, yelling fire in a crowded theater. That's what they're going to try to say. You're not.
Well, I don't know. So what should happen to Bart in that example that you showed? So should any repercussions for that if he's starting a bank panic?
What do you mean you only have money for the next 3 customers?
Exactly.
I mean, but look, it's that same philosophy. I obviously get the comparisons here, but that's the same reason why they came up with ideas why you can't talk about hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin. That wasn't the reason. The reason why is because it was theoretically potentially effective, and that took money out of people's pockets. People who had power. So they said, no. We've ordered billions and billions of these. We got to sell them. So shut up. And little tech, they went along with it. And they said, oh, you're not allowed to talk about the Wuhan potentially intentional lab release. Don't call it a lab leak. Don't call it a comeback. Yeah, don't call it a lab leak. It's been here for years.
Yeah.
Genetically something fears. Oh, we could make a rap about that. We'll set it to I'm Gonna Knock You Out by LL
Cool J.
Yeah, we'll do that. But that was, I'm just saying it's a slippery slope, Blake. It's a slippery slope. It's the same exact rationale that was used to silence dissenting opinion in conversation about COVID-19. And that's some bullshit. I don't want censored talk. I want people to talk. Well, what if people decide to take bad advice from bad people that don't know? That's why you don't take your advice from Twitter. You look around and you listen, and you look around some more and you listen some more. You ask some experts, you ask some more experts. But when all your experts from the lying legacy media were lying to your face, they were fabricating bullshit, Russian collusion, drinking bleach, fine people hoax, Jussie Smollett, Bubba Wallace, Covington Kid, go down the list. It's all bullshit. These are the experts, the authoritative sources that YouTube, Google silenced the new American media from. They said the new American media does not deserve a bite of pie. Yeah, on Pi Day, 3.141592,
Yeah.
7565. I think so. Was it right? I don't know.
Yeah,
They
it doesn't
don't
matter.
want us to have a piece of the pie because they say authoritative news sources are the ones that should be able to talk about, the Ariana Grande shooting over in Europe. I talked about it because it was a breaking story. I said, "Oh boy, let's go live." We went live. We discussed, okay, here's what we know, blah 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 blah. Okay, so if you and your family and your loved ones are out at an event and something happens, here are some things you need to keep in mind. We discussed real world scenarios, some good strategies for here's our meeting point. If we can't meet at this particular location for some reason, here's a further back secondary meeting point in case it's chaos and a stampede. You want to be able to find your loved ones in a situation like that. My shit was taken down because they said I wasn't allowed to talk about that. Whatever reason they gave, I looked on the same story. They were promoting MSNBC talking about it, CNN talking about it, Fox News covering it, CBS covering it, the same exact story going everywhere to authoritative liars, authoritative sources, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it. So I'm going to err on the side here of you got to let people talk. And I sure hope you're a savvy enough investor to not listen to Bart Simpson in line. I mean, come on. Like, that's really going to throw the world economy into a tizzy, into a tussle, into chaos. Well, come on, Blake. I get it, but I'm going to err on the side of free speech here. You got to be more savvy than that, and you would hope that investors would not just be relying on Bart Simpson for their information. Final thoughts?
No, it's fair enough. It's a tough call. So I don't believe in the heavy-handed censorship either, and that can be used against us as well. So yeah, people have to do some due diligence and not listen to random anonymous accounts on Twitter or Elizabeth Warren maybe.
Yeah, I mean, she's been a kooky follow for a long time. I don't know who listens to her for anything accurate, but we'll jump to this next story because it's directly related to what we were just talking about. All right, moving on to the next story. It completely connects to this, Blake. People are getting dumber, but we can fix this. Do you agree or disagree with that, Blake? People are getting dumber, but we can fix this.
I guess technically, yeah, we could fix it. Yes, people are getting dumber, and that is worrisome. And I'm actually kind of quoting sort of a Scott Adams tweet. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm assuming maybe you have, but I can pull it up and see if I can. Actually, I'm going to have to bring it over here to the next.
While Blake looks for that, make sure you follow him on Twitter. He's at TV's Blake Walley, TVS Blake Walley, at TV's Blake Walley. Follow him, and make sure you follow the New American Media at American_media_ on Twitter. One of the last bastions of a place where we are allowed to have a conversation.
Yeah, because speaking of that, we're not allowed, or actually, I'm suspended for a week now on YouTube, my main channel. Basically, I guess somebody just complained or said that I was cyberbullying or harassment, which none of that happened. But
did they say who you were allegedly?
No, of course not. Why would they? And the burden, they basically put it on me. So it's like on me to like somehow prove that I'm innocent. So like if somebody goes to my channel and says, "Oh, these guys are just harassing people." Oh, okay. Well, let's use that as an excuse. There you go. Here's a strike. Oh, you want to appeal?
Hold on though, but you're allowed certain accommodations to speak freely about public figures. I mean, we're not talking about Susan around the corner who goes to the gym and her purple minivan think they can park in that handicap spot. Well, she's got another thing coming. By the way, did you hear her husband's cheating on her? Like, we're not talking about Susan at Starbucks. We're talking about public figures that are causing irreparable harm, potentially irreparable harm to humanity. I think we're allowed to talk shit about these monsters. Like, any idea who they said they're cyberbullying? Nope. Okay, cool. Cool story, bro. Cool story, YouTube.
Yeah, so I did call it out publicly on Twitter, and actually maybe I should just show that too. I'll pull that up real quick, and then we'll get to this story here. So
Sidebar.
pull this last one.
While you pull it up, I'll mention that you can follow. We have 11 years of archived shows at The New American Media. Go to youtube.com/The New American Media. While it's up, while we exist, who knows how much longer they're going to let you talk. So I'm going to do it until I'm silenced.
Yep, might as well. So one of the main channels are down where we get some of the people in here, so they have no idea we're even on the air. That's what's so frustrating about the censorship. So yeah, that's when I said, and I called it out because I appealed it, and nothing happened. They just said, "Oh, sorry, it's nothing," without giving me any explanation. So I said, "What the heck, YouTube? Where was I involved with cyberbullying or harassment? Looks like my appeal was again rejected. Another strike with no explanation. This is BS, and you know it." And so when I appeal and they give you a chance to comment, I said somebody may have reported me, but I strongly disagree with the allegation that there was any cyberbullying or harassment. Can our accuser please cite any specific example? So then 15 minutes later, they just said, "Oh, we heard you, we got you, but nope, you're still down." It's like, what? So anyway, I took it to Twitter, and we'll get a different team of people from another YouTube to look into that, because it needs to. I'm so sick of being censored for stuff without any explanation.
This weaponization, that was, I guess we didn't really cover the weaponization trial. Maybe we touched on it a little bit last week, but, weaponizing freedom of speech and the lack thereof against truth tellers, against conservatives and libertarians. This stuff is criminal. Like, we have protections. These are civil rights. These are civil rights. If you give a damn about marching for civil rights, it kind of covers all of this stuff. So either you're a hypocrite or you actually believe in something. If you believe in something, you're on our side. If you're not, shut the hell up about the rest of your stuff, because I don't want to hear it anymore. None of it. Even the stuff that's accurate and correct, I don't want to hear it. If you're not going to defend the easy stuff, deuces. You can go. Now, keep in mind, talk about reaching our audience. I can't tell you, you ever play a video game, Blake? I don't know last time. What's the last video game console you owned?
Probably the Xbox 360. I think that was my last console.
It's not too old. I mean, I don't have anything as new as that.
About 10 years ago, right? 10, 15?
Well, I had a PS2. I had a PS2.
Ooh,
from
okay, you're even older than I am. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, so I don't have anything new, but there on a lot of these newer games, you go into settings or whatever, and it will tell you there's like a running log that tells you how many hours you've played. Did you ever experience that? Did you ever play a game where you go, "Oh my God, how many hours did I put into this game?" Did you ever do that?
Well, that's why I had to quit. That's why the Xbox 360 is my last console, is because I was sitting there, I think about 2009, and I'm just going, oh my God, I spent so much time playing either Halo or Call of Duty, sports games I played with my friends. But I burned so much time on those first-person shooter games. Crazy. And so I'm like, I have to reevaluate my life, because I can't do that, because I'll sit there and I'll just sit there and play that 10 hours a day. Like, there goes my weekend. I'm just sitting here staring at the screen, doing this, and all of a sudden it's it's 2 a.m. and I haven't eaten yet. I got to go to bed. What am I doing with my life? I'm 30 something years old. So then I decided that the only games I would play were games I could listen to on a podcast. So I got the strategy game, the Sid Meier's Civilization Revolution. So one of my favorite things to do is you can play it and take your time. It's a turn-based strategy game. So I could sit there, I could listen to podcasts while I play the video game. So I could use it as an efficient use of my time. But these days, I don't really play games at all. It might be fun if I had a chance, but I know I'd get addicted and I'd get sucked into that world, and it's not healthy. I'm too old for that shit, but it's fun while it lasted.
Well, the reason I bring it up, taking a circuitous route, taking a little leisurely sightseeing tour. It's a Sunday.
It's Pi Day. Have fun with it. Roll with it.
Pi Day. It just sounds like it's Friday, and then I start thinking about that awful "It's Friday" song. But the reason I bring it up is because I would be very curious. And when I say very curious, I can hardly even get the words out because
Confession time. All right.
it would be it would be it would probably ruin me. It would wreck me. I would probably be inconsolable, irreparable, incorrigible, no, some kind of word that starts with I. Inconsolable.
Oh, you know.
I would probably fall apart. I would fear having some sort of epiphany and subsequent breakdown if I were able to see how many hours and how many characters I have spent on Facebook and how many things I've texted on Facebook and how many groups I've built, how many thousands of interactions and how many I like the usability. I like the functionality of Facebook. It's very user friendly to grab stories, cultivate content. All right, this is a sports story. I'll put it here. And then you have subdivisions within sports because I do the Unhappy Hour sports show. So these are general sports stories that go here. Well, here's where a Cleveland Browns story would go. Here's where a Cleveland Indians Guardians story would go. Here's where a Cleveland Cavaliers story would go. And so they're all different boxes. You're just getting a pile and you go, here, you're emptying a bag of Skittles and you're like, here's the purple, here's the green, here's TNAM preparedness, TNAM food and drink, the Agree to Disagree show, the Unhappy Hour, TNAM Grow Something. I have so many groups and I love the usability of it. But, you know, I've known for a while that they've been limiting our reach. They haven't allowed the things that I post to be seen by the people who are in the groups. And they're in the groups because you feel like they would want to see what's in there. And I got a strike. We were talking about strikes. Yeah. You got one for God knows.
Yeah.
Facebook deleted the New American Media Company page without explaining why, without allowing me to appeal, without any opportunity to remedy any alleged situation. I continued using Facebook, and I've now been banned from going live for 60 days, and my group for the Agree to Disagree show is at risk. Why? Here's what I was accused of, Blake and listeners. Adult sexual exploitation, they say. Because I shared a meme of Hunter Biden in his tighty whities standing there posing with a goofy scarf on, holding some Chinese spy balloons. Silly little meme. They accused me of the thing Hunter's on video doing in those laptop video files with these batches of hookers. He's engaged in adult sexual exploitation. But they project what they are onto me. So, you know, I'm waiting for the Fauci files to come in from Twitter's release. I'm waiting for what we need is the Facebook files and the YouTube files. There has to be a reckoning for these little tech punks that, you know, are limiting our reach. We have people that follow us. We have fans. We have supporters. And we are deemed not good enough to play in the public sandbox. Go home. No, I don't want to go home. Give me a good reason. They don't have a good reason. They just don't like reality and people who call out their bullshit. Well, that's not my fucking problem. That's their problem for lying. I'm just, you know, there has to be a reckoning for this stuff, Blake. The reason people are getting dumber, I mean, is that because people are just consuming complete lies? Oh, the president said to drink bleach and he called Nazis fine people. Never happened. Never happened. Either of those. Never happened. I mean, what was the Scott Adams tweet you were referencing? I know we kind of took the long route and went to your personal situation, but back to
well, that was going to be on the docket anyway, so we had to discuss that because we're down a major channel today.
We are. And I'm still down the New American Media page. I've been silenced since 2020. I shared a Kamala Harris Simpsons meme, and I shared it on Instagram. It was linked to our New American Media page. Shut down right after that. And now Facebook has me silenced from the Agree to Disagree show, so I can't go and get that group either. These are where I've spent countless hours. Let's go into the settings and see how many hours on my Xbox One I've been playing on Facebook. Oh my God, I would probably crumble. I don't know that I could repair the shattered pieces of my life to see how much time I've wasted, because these are not legitimate business partners. They're not honest business partners. They're liars. They're censors. They're violating our civil rights with this crap. Private company. You can't do this shit. You can't have the protections of a publisher, and you can't have the protections of a platform and act like a publisher. You can't have your pie and eat it too.
No, I agree. It's total BS. It's a rigged game, and yeah, we've both wasted lots of time trying to build things that in an unfair environment, and we were screwed basically. And yeah, we've been kind of working for like 10 years, and it feels like we're still like just kind of starting out again. It's crazy. So it's just like they've just kept us down. But it's hard to get up.
I was starting to say about cultivation. This is like you get a plot of land, and I mean, you till the soil, you break it all up, and you aerate it, and you add compost and
fertilizer,
healthy fertilizer, safe fertilizers, and you get some irrigation systems in place, and you get your crops together, and you get your seeds. You got some heirlooms, some non-GMOs. You kind of get them started in a greenhouse. You wait until the weather breaks. You plant some, you hold some back, you plant some more a week later. You kind of stagger the system. You've done the research to figure out which growing zone that you're in. You take different measures to, and a bunch of bullies just come through and trample all your crap. And it's like, I've been working really hard for a long time on this stuff. It's like the builders. You build the house, dig the foundation. They come by, fill it with crap, fill it with sewage, knock down the walls, crumble up the foundation, walk away. It's like, there will be hell to pay. Lord willing, there will be hell to pay to you monsters. Yes, you're monsters if you're doing that. And these are just deep state. Google, YouTube, Facebook. Man, you guys, your soul is more important than the dollar. I'm telling you. And if you're doing this type of stuff, you got to become a whistleblower. You've got to release the documents. Get it to us. Veritas is done without James. If you get us the information, I'll bring James on, or I'll invite James on. I don't speak for him or anything. You've only met him once. I don't think I met him yet. But yeah, you get the point. Like, we need some whistleblowers here, because these are just terrorists running around and destroying buildings, destroying enterprises, destroying crops, destroying livelihoods. We've been working and busting our balls for a decade, more than a decade. And it's like we're still up at a handful of followers because we keep having to switch platforms because they keep deleting our crap. It's just insane, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy times that we are in. And yes, it's not just the big tech censorship. It's also people perhaps getting dumber. So now we can get back to this tweet as we were mentioning. So Scott Adams put this out. It says, is it my imagination, or is there a surge of incompetence in the country that spans everything from the government to banks to the media to employees everywhere? We're all getting dumber for some reason. And so I post, this is one of my favorite memes of Jesus, I guess, or a Jesus-like character saying, flood it again, because I'm asking, can we fix this, or should we start over?
Now that's that's Matthew McConaughey, right?
Oh, is that from a movie that I don't know? Is that
that is
Jay and Silent Bob one? Is it?
I don't remember. No, I don't know. It might be from either Dallas Buyers Club or from The Big Short, or was he in that one? I might be.
No, that was Christian Bale, I think.
Regardless,
Michael Burry. I don't know. I don't know if I saw that.
Well, what he's like, those are rookie numbers. You got to get your numbers up. You got to pump those numbers. Those are rookie numbers.
That wasn't Wolf of Wall Street? What was that one?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe it was that one.
Matthew McConaughey was in there, but he wasn't the Jesus character. So I don't know. I don't recognize it, but anyway, I'm kind of torn. So people have been dumbed down. I think that's absolutely been happening for quite a while with the education system, and people aren't they're taught the critical thinking skills. They're just taught to memorize things. These kids are not developing the way that kind of we grew up. With Legos and interactive things and playing outside with our friends. Now it's shoved in front of the iPad, playing video games. And yeah, the kids seem to be kind of messed up. I don't want to say it's not their fault. I don't think there's an actual biological issue, but if we were trying to make people smarter and more productive, it could be done. But that's going to come down to parenting outside, and then these schools who are just like these indoctrination centers, and now these kids are messed up. They're inundated with all the propaganda, and they don't know what's up or down anymore. So it's hard to convince them. They don't know what the old world was even like. So they've all grown up in this century. So
What do they always say online? The world that you grew up in no longer exists.
yeah, but I mean, at least I kind of knew growing up, like the 80s are paradise compared to what it is now. These kids have no idea. They've all grown up in the post 9/11 world, and they don't know what Americana really is. So they're confused, and the education isn't helping. The news isn't helping. The social media is trashing everything, especially like with TikTok. So
And you talk about people
attention span. Yeah.
You talk about getting dumber, and I mean it's incompetency across the board. And that's the tough part about this third Obama term. It's hard because I always wondered, is this incompetence? Does this guy have no idea what's going on, or is he really good at destroying stuff? And I kind of waffled back on that. Like, he's misguided. He's got bad policy. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, nah, I don't know. I think he's wily like a fox. I think this shit's very intentional. What's going on? By the way, here it is.
I pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, there he is.
Got to pump that up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket. But yeah, I think one of the biggest problems we have in this world. Shut up. There we go. Gotta close that. Jeez. Yeah, one of the biggest problems is clearly our educational system. I think it all stems from education. I think people just generally thought that the teaching profession was admirable, full of good people, your neighbors, your community members that they want to see your kids grow up nice and smart. And now it's like, no. We want you to dye your hair and be confused about everything normal. And we want you to hate your parents and hate this country and develop zero useful skills. We just want you to shriek all day. That doesn't make for a successful nation. I don't know when we lost the schools, but that is not, you talk about the 80s and, I guess by proxy going into the 90s and forward up until, like you said, the 9/11 generation. But it didn't always used to be like this. There were always some crazy teachers. There were always some crazy, a couple, there were always a few. And then in college, you get to high school and you're like, oh, there's a couple more. Okay. You get to college and you go, oh, dear Lord, what is this crap? I mean, just you go down the syllabus, you look at like the prerequisites to get your degrees, and like, what is it? What's this class I got to take? I got to sit and listen to this, like really angry people with racist, sexist axes to grind against straight people, white people, males. And it's like, you cannot get a degree at Bowling Green State University without taking a culture. What was it? What did they call it? Maybe it was called cultural diversity. And it was just like, hey, we're going to sit here and scold you for things you didn't do for 50 minutes a day, 3 times a week. I'm like, why am I paying for this? I don't, and they mask it. And what I'd really like to understand is like the gene, like the chromosomal there's got to be something genetic. There has to be something in the DNA of the woke person who's affected by this brainwashing, this Stockholm syndrome, this they take on the guilt. They unnecessarily, needlessly take on guilt because of how certain professors, certain teachers project their racism, their misogyny, their hatred of groups, specific groups. I'm just wondering why the wokesters crack underneath that pressure, whereas all it did was it galvanized my resolve to push back. Why? I don't know. Why did I listen to that same crap and go, I get it. All right. I solemnly vow to fight against this crap for the rest of my life. I don't appreciate any of it. You have any thoughts on that one, Blake? Like, did you have that experience when you were in high school and, middle school and like when
I'd say different. I think that some of the liberal people made a much better impression on me in the 80s and 90s than any conservatives did. I didn't think that they were, they were a little misguided. I thought the liberals were cool. And especially when, like in the 90s, I think there was a lot of, I didn't like a lot of the neocons and the conservatives of that day. Bill Clinton kind of took things over for the Democratic Party, and I just looked at the conservatives, the Republicans, as the warmongers, the religious hypocrites. The Bush senior regime was into the war. It was recession, and then the 90s were booming, and then all of a sudden the younger Bush takes over, and it's the project for the new American century. It's war overseas, the war on terror, the 9/11, the Patriot Act, the spying. It was bad like that, and it was just this very arrogant American imperialism. So I used to really not like the Republicans because I felt like they would go abroad like, oh, we're Americans. And they kind of gave everybody a bad name, waving the flag, and they got the money and we're the best country. And I kind of started to resent that. And I really hated the Bush Cheney administration. I really hated Fox News.
You reminded me of something because just as you were saying that, you were saying, you like the liberal professors. I did too. I like the free spirits. I like the people that occasionally swore in class. We, like the creative writing professors. I remember Miss Nichols in high school and Mr. Flaw in middle school. Like he was the one that just kind of got me paying attention to the news so I could just be alert and be aware of, we did like every morning was a like a 5 or 10 question pop quiz. It wasn't pop because we knew it was coming every morning, but it was like, all right, what's the name of the hurricane that's off the coast of Florida? Well, if you watch the news for 20 minutes, back in those days, the propaganda, the bullshit, CNN was a very different channel at that time.
It's headline news, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was very different at that time, but it's like, I want the who, what, where, when, why, what's going on. It's like, all right, what's the name of the horse that won the Kentucky Derby? And which team is in the world, which 2 teams are playing in the World Series, and just general current event information. I couldn't tell you what his political leanings were. When you said you didn't like the conservative teachers, I could, when you said that, I just kind of sat here thinking, going, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you a single conservative teacher, a Republican teacher, because they weren't cramming it down my throat, trying to indoctrinate me to buy their bullshit. That I recall.
Yeah.
I always knew when the Marxists, I took econ, maybe it was econ 480. It was a higher level economics class. It was the economics of capitalism, socialism, and Marxism. And this teacher was a dyed-in-the-wool, angry, bitter, divisive Marxist. And I definitely knew where he stood. And we were not ideologically aligned at all. I got a longer version of that story that culminates in me challenging his grade, and then the guy kills himself. I'll tell you another time. Like it was just a really, perhaps unrelated event, but definitely exposed him to all the people in his in the econ, because when you fine, I'll tell the quick version of the story. When I challenged the grade because he didn't like me, so he dinged me in place. I'm like, no, here's the syllabus. Here's the grades that I got. I got a 47 out of 50 here. I got a 40. Like, I did the math. I'm like, yo, I got a B minus. Like, this is what I earned. And he took something subjective and knocked off these points. I got a much lower score. And when he was challenged, he blew up in the econ committee because it was all the professor heads, all the heads of that department. He lost everybody's respect. And I got to show, because he had to challenge himself, he did not like being challenged. And he blew up on these people. I had somebody who sat on that committee find me that summer and was like, hey, I just want to tell you, man, that this guy blew his top. He lost his cool. He was just screaming and ranting and frothing at the mouth. And, he didn't look good. And unfortunately, because of how the syllabus was vaguely worded, he was able to justify giving you a 0 out of 20 for participation, even though you clearly participated enough to piss him off. He was able to do that, which knocked you down a grade and a half or whatever it was. He goes, oh, yeah, and by the way, he killed himself last week. I'm like, oh, my God, what? That like yeah. It was just clearly an unwell person. And I'm not saying this to dance on his grave. It's still it's jarring when I think about it, sort of. But like sitting through this guy's class, he was bitter. He had psychological problems. He was angry. He was pushing an agenda. He did not like being questioned. He couldn't articulate cogent responses. And it makes trying to learn hell. And when teachers are pushing nonstop to kids, and I experienced this briefly when I fostered my neighbor, a 10-year-old boy in Los Angeles, to get him through, was it 5th grade? I got called to the office, something, him and his friends, whatever, like as kids do. And I mean, I'm telling you, man, it was just, the whole office was just, in his classroom, everything was, he's telling me, oh yeah, what'd you do in school today? He's like, we walked out of class. I go, what do you mean you walked out of class? Well, the teachers had us walk out of class because they want us to protest guns. What do you mean protest guns? We all walked out, I don't know, solidarity, or I don't know what they kept saying, but so that people couldn't own guns. I go, what the hell are they doing to you in this place? That's not 5 + 5. That's not ABCD. That's not basic. Like, what the hell are they doing? You go in there and everything's the black power fists and the rainbow flags, and it's the Marxist, like everything was symbology, and everything was very clearly an indoctrination camp. It was not reading, writing, and arithmetic. It was, hey, we got a very extreme Marxist agenda. I mean, kids in 5th grade should not be walk out of school to protest against their Second Amendment rights to self-defense. I'm sorry. That is insane.
Yeah.
So I think most of our problems are stemming from the two prongs here of how these kids are being indoctrinated by these weirdos in schools, and then it's being reinforced by the liars of the legacy media. That two-pronged, you're getting stuck from both sides, or you're getting drawn and quartered like Mel Gibson in Braveheart. You're attached to 4 horses, and it's like you're stuck. These poor kids are stuck between a weirdo and a nut job, but between a grifter and a mentally ill person, So yeah. I think the schooling has to change. The schooling has to be radically dismantled and rebuilt.
I think I could probably agree with that to some extent. I think, yeah, if they're going to do any of that kind of radical stuff or do activism kind of things, that has to wait till like high school at least, when they're in civics and they have more of a perspective on the world. But in regular grade school, there's no place for that because it is really does become an indoctrination. And a lot of these, these woke teachers are just throwing all kinds of crazy ideas down their throat, and they're very, a lot of the kids they adopt that strategy, and it just kind of becomes a cult within themselves, and there's not a lot of alternative views on that. So it's very one-sided the way that they push that. So it is sad. And I don't know how they are going to fix it. They got a lot of teachers that are angry, or not teachers, but parents that go to these meetings. And then, of course, the FBI goes after them for, yelling at them. But I mean, they are messing up the kids. They are getting dumber. They lack the critical thinking skills. And I don't know what's going to happen when I don't know if they're saying IQs are lower. That was another story I had. So I don't know if that's how that works or how they decide to calculate that. But that's going to be a problem if people can't, understand things. How are they going to survive in the real world? Plus, they're going to have new AI and robots are going to be automating everything. So what is the future going to be like for the dumbed down woke Generation Z types?
I don't know.
They're controlled by the elites that do get good education and know how to manipulate the masses.
It is bleak. It is bleak right now, and like I said, there's that two-pronged system of I've said before that four things are exactly the same: the lying legacy media, the little tech underlords, the school indoctrinators, and the Democrat Party. That's all the same thing, and they split into four areas, and they just keep hitting you from all sides. That's really what's just eroding this country in a significant way. It's unfortunate. But it is the truth. But to the two things we were just talking about there, the teachers and the lying legacy media that are pushing the lies, that's really the core of what's poisoning Americans right now. So that'll lead to our next topic. I'll pivot off the schools for a second, and we'll get into the talking heads on TV.
All right.
All right, Blake, talking about talking heads. It's time to sell Bitcoin after Jim Cramer's warning on CNBC. Do you agree or disagree that it is time to sell Bitcoin and other, did he say other cryptocurrencies or just Bitcoin after his warning on CNBC? What say you?
Just Bitcoin, and I'm going to run, I guess it's like a 10-second clip. We'll see if this will fly here. I'll try to share this screen, and let's see if it get the volume to play here. Let's try it. Here we go.
Please don't assume, therefore, that it's not still being manipulated. And I would sell my Bitcoin right into this rally. And believe me, I had been.
Here we go.
Please don't assume, therefore, that it's not still being manipulated. And I would sell my Bitcoin right into this rally. And believe me, I had been a believer one time in Bitcoin. Not here, not now.
Was he also a big believer in that bank that just failed?
Yes, he was promoting that one, and he was promoting Signature, and I believe the First Republic, which has had the run. So of two of the banks that failed and one that is kind of teetering or having some issues in their own little bank run, he has recommended all three of them. He's been usually anti-crypto, but in this clip, he says that he's usually for, but not this time, without giving any reason why. But then saying you should sell your Bitcoin, just like right in that same sentence. No, you should sell it right into this rally. Well, why? What is the rally? The rally is pretty much for the crypto, for the new safe haven. So, I'm pro Bitcoin, but I've never been like hugely pushing it. But I've never been more bullish on it after this weekend, and I think so many other people were too, because then it was. All of a sudden it became clear, like, well, there might be a bank run on Monday and there's nowhere safe to turn. Because if we can't trust the banking system, what are you going to do? Or where are you going to move stuff? You can't really, I don't really trust the stock market right now either. And nor do a lot of people. And there's a fear that people are going to be selling stocks just so they can pay their mortgage and make their car payment. So there's not a lot of safe havens financially, and I am not a financial guy. I am not giving financial advice. Definitely not. But Bitcoin seems like it could be the safe. And I've usually been pro crypto, but I won't suggest anything else because right now the SEC has already said that everything is potentially a security outside of Bitcoin. Maybe Monero. I don't know. There's a few others that are kind of Zcash, Monero. I don't know if those are out of the woods or not. If there's securities, I don't want to get into that because that's out of my pay grade. But I do know that Bitcoin is not a security, it's a currency. And there's a fixed amount of it out there in the world. It could be the replacement for this whole banking system because people would be their own banks. So the government doesn't like it. They want to get into the CBDC, central bank digital currencies. They want to keep everybody on the Fed. They're panicking.
No.
Jim Cramer is panicking and trying to stand up for the big guy, the Wall Street, the big banks. So he's trying to tell the people, no, sell your Bitcoin. But I would not sell Bitcoin. Not saying go buy it, but I would certainly do some research and I would certainly keep some in there. Not saying that's going to go up. I'm just saying as a hedge in these crazy times, if you got a little extra, might be time to either looking at physical silver, maybe gold, and Bitcoin are obviously huge hedges right now as we head toward, we're already been in the bear market, but things are really getting bad after last week. And with how to proceed going forward, there is no solution outside of getting rid of the Fed. So they're just going to keep playing this as long as they can, as far as I know. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But what do you think, Brian? What do you think about Bitcoin and Jim Cramer and everything else mentioned?
Jim Cramer, at what point, these people have all become parody accounts. I don't even know what to say anymore. You used to look at these people who have had a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25-year run on cable news, and you're like, oh, these are stalwarts. Oh, these are people that can be trusted. These are people good at their jobs. It's like, nah. I'm not buying anything that anybody's selling me anymore. I'm just not. I guess there's some people in the liberty space that, when you're batting over 800 out of 10 issues, if you're right on 8 of the most important ones, maybe 2 out of 10, you're like, it's like, I'll take with a grain of salt what some of those people are telling me. The rest of them, it's almost the opposite. Whatever they're saying, I just assume it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know how to tell the truth anymore. I don't know if they've ever cared about truth. I don't know if they're incapable of discerning what truth even is. What even is truth?
Well,
having an existential crisis over opinions versus facts. Blake, what say you?
Well, I think the joke is, at least on crypto Twitter and a lot of other Twitter that I've seen, is kind of do the opposite of whatever Jim Cramer is saying. So he's kind of representing Wall Street, even though he's kind of he's trying to get the regular people, on Main Street into Wall Street. It really seems like he's doing the bidding of people on Wall Street and trying to get the exit liquidity, or pumping up these certain banks or what have you. I'm not saying he's doing things behind the scenes, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point because he can't constantly be wrong on this stuff. And Meta was a huge disaster. There's been several for a long time, and yeah, he had some credibility when things were booming, 15 years ago or so, before the 2008 thing. He made investing fun. And he made a lot of sense. And there was some interesting things that he could talk about. It was a great show. But now it's just, as things get worse and he just gets more and more cartoonish, it's still entertaining, but not for the same reasons. But
it's more sad. It's more, it's entertaining, but it's like, you watch the celebrity downward spiral and you're like, oh man, so-and-so got into another bar fight. They're out at a club and, he did an interview and said, what? Oh my gosh, that dude needs to stop drinking, man. Lay off the pills. Like you watch, you cringe watch, you're kind of cyber stalking just to see what's the latest. Yeah, it's entertaining, but for totally different reasons. What do I think about crypto and what'd you say, physical silver? Yeah, look, I'm a firm believer in the fact that there needs to be a diversified. Look, I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard before. That there should be a diversified portfolio of holdings. I think real estate is good in general, but you better have the stomach to weather a long, dangerous storm. I experienced that. Got my very first place right before '08, and my God, it it wrecked me, man. Like it was really bad news for 12 years being severely underwater and the only asset you had, and that was tough. I definitely believe in. I like I think collectible things are
Yeah.
always interesting. There's always going to be a market for it. You always see like these, Fonzie's jacket goes up for sale, or Fonzie's motorcycle, or Babe Ruth's hat. A baseball card, an autograph sells for this, or this is the collectible things.
Right.
I think there's stores of value, certain musical equipment, or there's just stuff out there that's a non-traditional investment. But if you get the right stuff and just hold on to it for a while, it's not about swap it, swap it, swap it, swap it, and you're just constantly trying to. You've seen those YouTube videos where a guy starts with a penny and he tries to buy a home with it or something. It's like, will you trade me your pencil for this penny? Okay. Will you trade me that stack of papers for this pencil? All right. Could I get a notebook or could I get that backpack? You just kind of keep trading your way up to, you're a self-made man at that point. They're fun videos, but I mean, let's be honest, that shit's pretty ridiculous. Back to crypto specifically. Yeah, I think having some liquidity in the U.S. Federal Reserve note, only because it's the thing that's used. I don't like it at all, but it's our currency. It's good to have some sort of fluidity with that, so that you can make moves. That is the easiest way to barter with other people. Some silver and gold. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an intrinsic value there on the precious metals front that, at the end of the day, dollar bills, yeah, you can wipe your butt with them, but like, what else? You could snort cocaine with them if you roll them tight. And so I've heard. I've never done cocaine intentionally. But end of the day, there's not much you can do with a piece of paper other than burn it for warmth. Precious metals, that there's a lot of applications for precious metals in industry. So, there's an intrinsic value of getting an old coin and knowing that it's 99, whatever percent pure, and what you're getting. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I like crypto. I like crypto a lot. I mean, my biggest regret was not buying more of it when I made my first purchase. Like, I could have been in a totally different position had I just made a bigger purchase when Bitcoin was $200 a coin. I bought some. I tried to get more. I ended up with half a coin. Long story short, coin was a coin. No, it was a Circle. They went belly up or something. They sent me a check. It was cool. I made a few, but like nothing like I could have. Like, damn, I could have bought a house if I would have just dropped $1,000 into that, and it hits 50. What's the high for Bitcoin? 50 grand, 60 grand,
69,000 something.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you put $1,000 in, and you got 5 Bitcoins, and now you have 350,000 cash. Like, you can buy a little home and go, oh my gosh, my life has changed. So I've won a little bit on it, but anyway, I've put a little back into it, and it's gone up kind of high, and it's been down where I've been below, and right now I'm at pretty much the exact same break-even point as I was a year or two ago when I put some more back into it. Like I said, they cashed me out. I put it back in. So yeah, I've succeeded with Ethereum, in Polygon, in the Graph. But yeah, I'm down a little bit on a couple others, but Ethereum is kind of carried the day. That was a good score before it really jumped up there, because people kind of look at Bitcoin as the gold and Ethereum as the silver. It's not in a completely accurate comparison, but it's a quick layman's term to think about, the top 2 dogs in crypto. But yeah, I think it's important to have some of this stuff as a hedge. I don't recommend putting 100% of what you have into it at all. I'm sorry, what was that graphic you had up? I've really been on a diatribe here for about.
Well, that was just from CoinGecko, just showing the latest prices. So they have been booming. Bitcoin absolutely exploded.
I'm very happy with that.
Since last weekend, probably starting on Sunday, I think. Sunday, Monday, and then let's see if I can.
In the past month, it's up $7 grand.
Well, in the last month, but I mean, it was kind of dipping before that. So, as I was showing on this chart,
week, since last week, it's gone low point of 19 up to 26.5.
yeah, it was down 20. It looked like it might keep going down for a while because nothing really looked good until this big panic over the week with these banks that went under. And then people started to really take a look at Bitcoin. This is basically what it was designed for, and perhaps an alternative system in case we can't trust our current banking system. And that is where we are looking at. So Bitcoin will always carry some kind of a value, and yeah, more so than some of the other crypto because we're not really sure if they're currencies or if they're securities or what have you. And it's also a little more difficult to navigate for the layperson. But yeah, Bitcoin is good. And you mentioned collectibles, which are great in their own right. I always think of something that you could, if shit at the fan, you could go into a pawn shop and say, hey, here's this thing. You can't really necessarily sell a Babe Ruth hat or whatever unless you have the paperwork for it and you can verify it. Those are a little more tough to liquidate. But if you have a silver round coin, like you were saying, like a 999 ounce, it always has a certain value. Whether you barter it or when you bring it into a pawn shop, they're going to give you money on the spot.
Well, and I will say this about that. I do a little bit of reselling. I think it's one of the best. I grew up. My grandparents always went garage sailing. My parents went garage sailing. I like finding things at estate sales, and I've the past few years I've started, building a side business where I rescue things from the dumpster and I find their forever homes. So I mean, there are things like, imagine, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character still on the cardboard in the case. It's like there's a collectible value there with a sports card. If it's Beckett graded at a 9.5 and it's in a sealed plastic case and it's got the number on it of authentication, it's like, okay, like this is something you can kind of trust a little bit more than, but yeah, I mean, silver coins, gold coins, stuff like that, pocket watches, and there's all sorts of things that have an intrinsic value. But yeah, I mean, like you said, can you go to the pawn shop and swap it out? So yeah, whatever you're trying to hold on to and use as, one, because you like to collect it, two, because you might want to sell it someday. Sure, the liquidity of it. Are you going to be able to turn it into barterable items so you could get food and water and supplies if the crap hits the fan? The grid goes down, heaven forbid, because it's on their list of things to try. Every show, Blake, that we do could be our last. And that's kind of fun, isn't it? Every show we do could be our last. But yeah, I'm a big fan. By the way, the all-time lows of Bitcoin, 6 cents a coin. That would have been a great time to put $1,000 in.
Hey, wow. I had 1.5 Bitcoin at one point. I think I got it for, it was 900 or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I had it when it was 600, but then that got lost on one of those old exchanges. It just, a lot of those old exchanges had issues, and a lot of people are just they're thieves. So it was hard to hold, self custody. I was all out of my league. I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I should probably have at least 5 Bitcoin to this day if I would have been able to hold on to that in that old exchange, which is now gone. But
you look at these banks failing, and they're doing the same thing. And the fact that anybody's even remotely considering a bailout, y'all can piss off. Like, no bailouts. I've screamed it during the 2008 crash. I'm screaming. I am gently discussing it now. I'm very calm, cool, and collected. No freaking bailouts. By the way, if you've noticed, Blake, I've self-censored. I've tried to cut my swearing down a little bit. I'm trying, man. I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, so I'm looking on the graph here. 6 cents is a low for Bitcoin, and then 64,899 is an all-time high. So yeah, I mean, you're sitting. It
was 69. I'll check it out, but I think
25 grand here. It's like, well, if that doubles, you're still not at the all-time high. So
69,044.
I'm seeing 64,899. I don't know. I looked for all-time highs. So
yeah, no, it's November 10th of 2021. It's down 64% since then. But it's popped up quite dramatically recently. So Definitely something perhaps to hold on to. Again, no financial advice, but yeah, if you're looking to move currency around, physical silver or digital, where you can just go person to person rather than going through a bank and using banking hours and all of that stuff, and you can't trust the banks anymore. So it'd be nice to see everybody be their own bank. And then Ethereum will eventually perhaps decentralized finance. So that'll take over the whole financial sector. And then Bitcoin will be the banking sector. And then the government won't be able to touch it. They won't be able to say, hey, we want to give a bunch of money to Ukraine. Oh, we can't because it's all in your self-custody. Everybody has Bitcoin. But if everyone's on CBDCs from the Federal Reserve, then they'll be able to control everything you do. Track, control. It'll be a nightmare.
No. Hard pass. We must resist that with every ounce of energy that we have. All right.
We got about 15 minutes, so let's cruise
Buzz through the stories, shall we?
Yeah, whatever we
Do
got left.
lightning round now. Lightning. All right, Blake, do you agree or disagree that January 6th was set up as an emergency to culminate the coup? J6 was set up as an emergency to culminate the coup. Agree or disagree?
Agree. And it's funny because we were just talking about this last Thursday, I believe, on what could have happened on J6 had there not been the riot
This
protest.
is a story. This is the story, the real story of January 6th.
Yeah, so they were trying to avoid. Let me see if I can pull up the article. It was out of the
Never forget. Hashtag never forget.
Yeah, okay, so
We will use their words against them.
Oh, absolutely. So let's get this rolling. Here we go. And let's see. So this is the Conservative Treehouse, actually, was the originator. Laid out an article a couple days ago. It's an important read showing the Democrats and the deep state, they needed an emergency on January 6th to culminate their 2020 election. We'll just say plans. We'll keep this slightly YouTube friendly. So if they were actually involved in a coup to take over or to not have Trump be in there, and perhaps if they stopped counting in these 6 swing states and were able to put in their own electors and get their own way, in order to prevent that from being certified, I guess they had to create an emergency. And so the only way to prevent Congress from delaying the certification of these state electoral votes was to create a crisis that could be easily designated as an emergency. So literally 3 minutes before 2 representatives issued a vote for motions to suspend the certification to make Biden the winner, the House members were informed by Capitol Police and other, quote, agents that a protest was about to breach the chambers. And it was at that time that key people, that would be Mike Pence, Pelosi, Schumer, and McConnell, can be seen walked out, and they were escorted from the chamber. This effectively halted the entire chamber process. That's when the crisis was created to eliminate the motion challenges, to halt certification, and begin to look into the voting irregularities that potentially happened. So it was unilaterally under emergency rules. They suspended Congress, and then they came back later, new sessions under special emergency rules, and they certified Joe Biden as the victor without any more problems. So,
right in front of our faces. What Gateway Pundit? Okay, right.
But it came from the Conservative Treehouse.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is the parliamentary motive behind they call it the Fedsurrection. So, not saying it's 100%, but it's certainly credible, plausible, very well could have happened. And that's, as you say, the real story they don't want to talk about is what would have happened without crowds getting out of control. Perhaps.
Oh, those crowds were in control.
Yeah.
As we look at more and more footage, crowds are in one place until the tear gas canisters go through. And, you and I are in that footage licensing group. And we're kind of, having our conversations. And I'm just kind of saying that things were one way, and then when those explosions started, people couldn't breathe and they burst through different places, and that's exactly what they wanted. Ray Epps was moving certain items so that people could go certain ways. Like, it's very obvious what was happening here. It's very obvious why Bowser and Pelosi said no thanks to 20,000, was it 15 or 20,000 National Guard troops that Trump wanted there? They said no thanks. We can't run our plan if we have people there to keep stuff in line.
Yep, absolutely. All those National Guards troops, and nobody would have done nothing. Everybody would just been patiently waiting to see what the results are before we either have a celebration, or then maybe people are going to get angry if they think that they certified a suspicious election, we'll call it.
All right. Any more to say on this story as we continue to bounce?
Not for now. We'll wrap it up. We got another 10 minutes. Let's lightning round.
All right. This was something that crossed my path. We need to be concerned about 1,000 military-aged males invading El Paso. Blake, do you agree or disagree? Let me show you this video here. This is on our Twitter feed from Bill Malugan, Bill Fox LA. Follow us on Twitter at American_media_. Where's this video? Here we go. Let's see if I can get you some sound here.
He's great. He's been covering a lot of that border crisis stuff for a while.
And it's a crisis. This is an invasion, guys.
Yeah.
Our contact in Juarez, Mexico, tells us a massive group of at least 1,000 migrants just attempted to rush a port of entry in El Paso in an effort to get into the United States. Video shows them pushing past the Mexican side of Paso del Norte Bridge, awaiting CBP comment. Here we go. Blake, we should be concerned about this. Yes or no? Agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely agree. Even if they're not, there to cause violence, or they're not military people, whoever they are, there's no excuse for that. That this is actually occurring, and we're just supposed to sit there and do nothing. They've had millions of people come over that border in the last few years, and the administration,
a potential invading force. Like, America could be getting all of the sleeper cells set all across the country for when the lights go out. I'm telling you, if the lights go out, you better instantly mobilize yourself and don't take a single look. Every show that we do, like I said, could be our last. If the power goes out, you got to be prepared for the fact that there could be sleeper cells of many tens of thousands in each city ready to destroy this place. Just saying. I don't know if anybody in that picture could be one of them, but if I were a bad guy, I know what I'd be doing. All right, next story.
Yeah, or else they'll be voters.
I cut you off there. You said, or else they could be voting. You said, right?
Yeah, even if they're not joining the military, they'll be joining the Democratic Party, I'm sure. And
well, speaking about joining the Democratic Party, do you think President Trump regrets his decision to endorse DeSantis? Agree or disagree? President Trump probably regrets his decision to endorse Ronnie D.
Well, I'm going to have to say agree, because that is what he said. He's regrets his decision endorsing DeSantis, because now he's his biggest competitor. So he's been just really out, just launching the offense at Ron DeSanct or DeSanctimonious or what have you. So it's been interesting to watch him go after. I thought was kind of an ally to some extent, but if they're both going to be running for president, then that's going to be a problem for Trump. Nobody likes to get primaried, and a lot of people are hoping that Trump will be the nominee. But DeSantis is just kind of lingering back there, and it seems like he's posturing. I'm not saying he's going to do it or he should do it, but I think that there is that potential for the backup plan, and he's been, outspoken as usual. And in fact, he actually had some interesting things to say about it. We should be de-escalating tensions in Ukraine, which I thought was interesting. So he does make some good points. I do like what he does. I love how he handles the media. I like what he's doing policy-wise. You know, I hated Jeb Bush. I don't trust Marco Rubio. There's a lot of people I don't trust on the
George Soros.
Okay, that's we're gonna have to pause that because that's misinformation that a lot of people have been putting out there that got taken way out of context. George Soros did not endorse DeSantis.
What did he say?
What he said was that DeSantis was ruthless, and there's a couple other words that he threw in there, and capable of beating Trump. That's all he said. He said he's very good. He's shrewd and he's ruthless and he's capable of beating Trump. Never endorsed him, never gave him any money. That was a myth that got spread. I don't know, it was Laura Loomer. It doesn't matter. But people took that and ran and went, oh my God, that's why we can't trust DeSantis because he's in Soros's pocket. No, that was total misinformation. So I don't trust him. He is, does have some shady people around him, and the neocons will try to steer him on every policy they can. But I don't know. I don't know if he deserves that much, damage being thrown at him right now, unless he actually, sets out as one of the nominees, then maybe. But right now, I think Trump is kind of going over the line, although I do want Trump to win. And Trump is also, pledged he's going to go and, go after the deep state if he gets back in. Let's see if he says he vows to totally obliterate the deep state in the final battle. So that's interesting. And Trump is also saying, Trump is saying, warning people that he's, kind of tied in with, Mitt Romney or Paul Ryan or some of these people, and that may be true. But, for him to say, for DeSantis to say we need a peaceful resolution to the invasion of Ukraine, some of the things that he does say aren't really in line with all the neocons. So if for some reason Trump couldn't go, it seems like DeSantis would be a logical pick.
Here, let me pull it up. I assume this is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Your portrayal, your representation of what some people were saying about DeSantis is what Soros was saying about DeSantis is correct, but let's hear what he did have to say.
All right.
My hope for 2024
I hope. Whoop. There you go.
that Trump and Governor DeSantis of Florida will slug it out for
So his hope is that Trump and DeSantis will slug it
the
out.
Republican nomination. Trump has turned into a pitiful figure,
Trump is a pitiful figure.
continually bemoaning his loss in 2020.
Lost.
Big Republican donors are abandoning him in droves.
No, the donors are not. The people are behind him.
DeSantis is shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious.
Well, shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious is what Soros thinks about himself when he was working with the Nazis in Germany, right? That's the story. Go ahead.
He is likely to be
He sees himself in DeSantis, I guess, is what my interpretation of that thought was. Continue.
Republican candidate. This could
Emperor
induce
Palpatine.
Trump
It's like Emperor Palpatine in slow motion. He can barely talk.
into a disease to run as a third-party candidate.
Third party.
That would lead to a Democratic landslide
Democratic landslide.
and force the Republican Party to reform itself. But perhaps I may be just a little bit biased.
Oh, perhaps he's just a little bit biased. Blake, he's saying everything that people are claiming he's saying.
Well, he did not endorse. He did not endorse DeSantis. He is
Oh my
not
God.
pledging.
Yes, he
Come
did.
on, no, that's true. Hey, I was right. I was right.
Read between the lines. He did not technically
no.
say, I endorse him.
Right.
He called Trump pitiful. He said, if Trump doesn't get his way, he's going to run third party and destroy it. Yes, if DeSantis tries to get the nomination, the Republican Party will be destroyed, and he might be a little biased in that. He's definitely bashing Trump, pulling for Ronnie D. Read
He
between the
just said
lines.
he's capable. No, he just said it. What? shrewd, capable, ruthless, and ambitious, and he's capable of beating Trump. But he does not say, and I'm going to back Ron DeSantis. I endorse him. He's great.
All
But
right,
if you looked at conservative Twitter, that's what they were saying. Oh my God, that's why you can't trust him. He's in Soros's pocket. No, he's not. That was not what was said. So I'm just debunking that rumor.
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree there.
Ah.
Okay. How many minutes do you have? We have 3 other stories.
Okay, I have about 7-8 minutes.
Okay, let's go to the next story. All right, Blake, do you agree or disagree that doctors must be held criminally liable for the transitioning of kids? Agree or disagree?
Absolutely agree. If these kids, they're confused, they don't know what's going on, and they're being sort of pressured in some way, whether that's directly or indirectly, or they're confused and they're going outside of their parents, and the teachers and the doctors are deciding, yeah, let's put them on puberty blockers and this and that, or they're going to do transitional surgery. And then when the kid turns 20, these man, woman, whatever, going, oh my God, I can't believe now they've mutilated my body and I can't be normal again. I think that if the doctors if they're that confident that this young person is going to feel the same way, 10, 20 years from now, then they should, send out a guarantee. If not, they should be sued into oblivion.
Oblivion. I agree 100%. This, and did you see what Biden said about this?
No.
You didn't? Well, give me another thought on it while I pull it up real quick.
Yeah, if you can pull that up. And then I'll see if I can, I got to find the story about this. I think I found it on Natural News. Oh, I do have it. So let me pull this up while you try to look for yours. And let's see, share screen. How about we go here? So 3 in 4 Americans fear children's exposure to transgender movement and want doctors held liable for mutilating kids. The overwhelming majority of American parents, regardless of political affiliation, opposes the exploitation of children, especially by the cult of LGBT. Multiple new polls have found 71% of respondents agree that pharmaceutical companies and doctors who promote puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for underage children seeking gender transition should be legally liable for any harmful side effects that arise. And 72% of Republicans also believe doctors and companies should be held liable for the sex change mutilation. This compared to 59% of independents and only 45% of Democrats. So amazingly, 35% of Democrats in the poll indicated they support slicing off young girls' breasts, removing young boys' genitals, and pushing children into the arms of LGBT groomers who want to sexually mutilate them. So it's pretty disturbing.
These are functioning organs with purposes, and just, oh God, I can't even. I can't even do.
Because you can't reverse this if you change your mind a few years later and go, oh, I was confused. Oh, all of a sudden you look. I mean,
here's what the Obama speechwriters have this puppet saying now. Here we go.
Transgender kids is a really harder thing. What's going on in Florida is, as my mother would say, sinful. I mean, it's just terrible what they're doing. It's not like, a kid wakes up one morning and says, I decided I want to become a man, or I want to become a woman, or I want to change. I mean, what are they thinking about here? They're human beings. They love, they have feelings, they have inclinations that are, I mean, it just, to me, is, I don't know, it's cruel. And the way we do it is we make sure we pass legislation like we passed on same-sex marriage. You mess with that, you're breaking the law, and you're going to be held accountable. But transgender kids is really hard.
I mean, what else needs to be said there, dude?
Yeah, sickening. He's just playing to his radical base. That makes no sense whatsoever. There's just zero reason. I want to see all of these kids that grown up. I want to see them if they would make the same decision now that they're adults that they did when they were
if people decide to do something at 18, I mean, get as many face piercings and face tattoos, and I mean, if you do whatever you do at 18, who am I to, my Lord, please, I would pray for you, but like, I would recommend you don't, but like, it's not my place. You don't mess with kids. By the way, I had this pulled up. This is super tied to the last one. I just wanted to share this. I thought she sums it up so nicely.
Well, I just don't think anybody else could win if Trump runs. So, and
Really? So you think if they got on a stage, you don't think that DeSantis is crafty enough or stands enough to, really?
No, I don't even think that a little. I think Trump sucks up all the energy in every room, no matter what. And even someone as skilled as a politician and smart policy-wise as DeSantis can't overcome that. He can't. You really think the hardcore MAGA is going to abandon Trump for DeSantis? They're not. They like DeSantis, but they don't think it's his turn. They think Trump was screwed out of his last election, that he was screwed out of his first term by all the craziness, the Russiagate and so on. And they think he is entitled. He deserves another shot at it. Like the hardcore Trump faithful is unshakable. They like DeSantis, but they would never cross Trump for him. And they think that DeSantis owes his political career to Trump. Yes. Like if forced to choose, they will choose Trump. So DeSantis can't take him down. It's like the line in War Games, the only winning move is not to play. DeSantis has got to either be crowned by Trump, or he shouldn't run. He won't win over Trump. I'll stand by that. You can play it against me if I'm wrong, but I won't be.
Anyway, I just thought that was like the perfect summarization of, I thought she said that so well. I know that wasn't on our board of agenda topics, but I think we can talk about the boneless buffalo wing suit at the next show because I know we're out of time. But thoughts on what you saw Megyn Kelly talking with what's his face about?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think it is fairly accurate. So I'm all for Trump, but if for some reason DeSantis is that guy, then he's one I could get behind. Like the last election with 2016 or whatever, it was, Trump. And if Trump didn't win, it would probably be maybe Rand Paul, maybe Ted Cruz. But a lot of those guys I didn't like. You're not going to sell me on Romney or Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio.
No.
But DeSantis isn't too bad, right? I'd like to see him wait his time, like she's saying. Let Trump finish up. And then we'll bring in
I like how she said it. Not only was Trump screwed out of a 2020 chance, which a lot of people think he was also screwed out of his first term with all that Russian collusion stuff. The 2 impeachments, his whole first term was trashed because people lied about him nonstop in the lying legacy media. So, okay, I know you got to go, Blake. Maybe next time we'll talk about boneless buffalo wings deserving a class action lawsuit.
Just a joke series. Somebody was suing Buffalo Wild Wings because they're chicken nuggets. They're not really boneless wings. Like somebody's actually like concerned. Like they thought like they were gonna some chefs in the back like taking the bones apart on the drums and the flats and then just reassembling them into boneless wings. It's stupid. I think everybody knows. I'm not a big fan of the boneless wings anyway because they're really not wings. They don't taste like wings. But just something they say. But somebody decided to sue them because it's not explicit enough. Like I don't know why that would be a thing, but if people are desperate, trying to look out for money somehow, and they saw an opportunity and they're going after it, so not going to happen. I don't think. What do you think, Brian? Are you a big fan of the boneless wings?
I have been. I definitely try to avoid some fried stuff more than I used to. I think they're okay. I think they're fine. It depends on the dipping sauces, of course. And having worked at Buffalo Wild Wings in the past, I'm partial to the topic. That's an absurd lawsuit. Whatever. Good on them. I want to close today's show on this.
All right.
The #1 song in America. I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
Not going to copyright us. I'm going to have to peace out, but you go ahead and play it.
Prison choir.
I pledge allegiance
Nice.
to the flag.
All right,
There you go. You get the gist of it. No copyright. Go find it. It's the #1 song in the nation because guess what? People aren't believing the bullshit. I think people are empathetic toward the situation and the president. Final
That's
words.
pretty cool. No, I'll have to go check that out. So good call. But that's all I've got. Hopefully we'll be back. We'll see Thursday. Yeah, it's going to be March Madness. So it's going to be a busy day. If we can do a quick show or we'll fit one in. Yeah, it's too bad my one channel's down, but the show will go on in some way. But been a pleasure. Thanks, Brian. Good job. And we'll catch you guys next time.
All right. To be continued, Blake. Peace out. We'll see you soon, guys. Take care.